I want to go back to the conversation that we had. This is, you remember Leone? You can stand up. You're on. Do you remember Leone from last class? Remember the thing that we did? Do you want to explain it, or do you want me to explain? I asked you to pick out. So we had 4 men up here, and you and Eric had to pick out, like, okay, who would you choose? If you had to choose sperm to be artificially inseminated, the 2 of you, like, whose sperm would you pick? And it was a Haliji Arab Muslim guy, a black guy, and who was the other guy? White guy? Yeah. Standard white guy. And why would you pick? And then so go back to your answer, because I think what you said, we didn't have enough time. First off, I want to say the following. In a way, like, doing this, you don't really see behind the scenes is, I'm writing kind of the script for these classes. I'm, Nidhi and Leah, who you're going to meet next class, are helping to direct up here. But in the end, I have to make these decisions about how much time do we have, can we get this all in, and then I don't have there's no script. I mean, these are all just questions and stuff. And I have to, in a spur of the moment, decide whether we can actually do something, whether it's worth it. And so in your section, in the segment that we did, the case study, it kind of got rushed. And I was like, with you and Eric, we needed to air that out a little bit. So I just want to air it out a little, because I thought what you said was really insightful and important for getting us to where we're going today. So do you remember what you said about who you would choose? Can you go back to that?
I said that I would choose the person that would get me the least controversy, essentially, or the least questions. And you picked out the white guy for me, which I thought was kind of funny.
Dude, totally. And you thought it was funny because?
Because it kind of goes against what you assumed I would assume.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I just went there because, but in fact, where are you from?
Miami Beach.
You're from Miami Beach, right? So your background is Norwegian and Dutch, right?
Yeah.
So which is you don't get any more white than Norwegian and Dutch. But you live in Miami Beach.
Yes.
A very brown town.
Yes.
So so truthfully, you probably would have fit in best. Like if you said, I'll take, if you don't want to be noticed by anybody, you could have picked any 3 of those people.
Yeah.
And that's what you had said. I wanted to pick any of the 3 people. And I assumed that you were saying, like, oh yeah, okay, you want to pick the white guy to not be noticed. But in fact, given where you live, if you lived in a small town in central Pennsylvania, you'd pick the white guy if you don't want to be noticed.
Probably.
Yeah, but you said, but for you could pick any of them really, and so that was. So first off, by the way, after class you said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I kind of called you out," or what did you say?
I said I didn't mean to embarrass you or call you out in front of a classroom.
Because I said, "Oh, you picked the white guy," and you're like, "No, you picked the white guy for me."
Yeah.
And everybody laughed. And what I want to say is, yo, man, this goes to everybody. Don't ever not take the opportunity to call me out or embarrass me on something. First of all, you can't embarrass me. I'm unembarrassable. I don't know how you say that. So awesome that you thanks for saying that, but really, you don't have to. That's like, if you take your shot, man, you know what I mean? So anyway, I thought what was so interesting is that and this is really what I want to talk about with you, is that you think you're taught, your generation in particular, is to not see color.
Yeah.
Right? So can you say, like, what exactly are you taught about not seeing color?
Well, up with so many different ethnic groups around me, I base it more off your style, your appearance, to me, appearance, your race doesn't fall under your appearance per se. It's how you carry yourself, what you're wearing, what you're doing, where you are, in a sense. That's what I judge you based off more than anything else.
But it's also but if you see color, what does that mean? Like, if you really identify color, it says something about you then, right?
Well, if someone holds pride in it, then that's a part of their personality. It's not part of their, appearance. Unless they choose to display something with, I don't know, beads in their appearance, then maybe I can make assumptions, but I'm not going to simply because of their color.
Yeah, I got you. But we learn, but it's this thing that we learn, that one of the reasons that I'm so often talking openly about these issues is because, white people in particular learn. If you identify or talk about someone's color, it's like you're seeing race, and you're not supposed to see race. Like, I didn't even notice you were black. Like Darnisha there, oh my God, I didn't even notice Darnisha was black. Like, oh no, it didn't even dawn on me. Kind of stuff like that. It gets to absurd levels. And so I have the idea that a lot of people, if I ask them to do that exercise, a lot of white people in particular would never pick the white guy. Like, and we've done things like this before. You wouldn't even pick the white guy, because if I pick the white guy, people will think I'm racist.
Out of fear?
Yeah, out of fear. Like, I don't want to be seen as racist. So you would then, somebody like you would say, but you didn't, because you had a really cool sociological take on it. But like, I can't pick the white guy. They'll think I'm racist. So I got to say, like, oh no, I would pick the black guy. Like, I would take his sperm, or the Arab guy. Like, it's all good. Like, because I'm cool. Like, I'm not racist. Like, I don't see color like that. This is the absurd levels that we get to in this world.
If anything, growing up in a big city gave me that fear at an early age, because there isn't just race to look at. There's also gender and religion and everything else. So
Yeah.
the goal at an early age is to just not make assumptions. So you assume nothing.
Especially in a place like Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you really are. And so ethnicity and nationality are key. Yeah, don't assume anything about. And whether they're like Cuban American or Cuban or Dominican or whatever, whether they speak Spanish or don't speak Spanish, I mean, in Miami, it's just, it's one of those things. I find it really interesting. So anyway, just to kind of sum this up, I thought you had what I thought was a really on-point sociological take. It's like, I don't want to have to deal with just constantly talking about this forever, so I would just choose somebody who I thought I could just sort of fit in with, and they could fit in, and people would just naturally think that this was my child, fully my child, 100%, Yeah. Anyway, that's it. That's all. I just want to put that out there, that the assumptions that we all make about things that are really worth thinking about. And that somebody could seem like they might be, like you might have said, for example, if you'd have said, no, I want the white guy. And then you had all the reasoning that you had. And someone might say, like, oh, here's this Leonie. Oh, clearly she's racist because she wouldn't want a half-black child. But it's like, no, but if they listen to what you were saying, you'd be like, no, not at all, she's not. She totally has a very complex way of seeing this, and clearly she's being where you're from, you're beyond that. Yeah, cool. Dude, awesome. Thanks, man. All right. Hey, also, I do want to say one other thing. Hey, the other volunteers, you all can come up. And Brooklyn and EJ, can you sit here? And Sar and Megan, you sit here if you would. A couple things that I was having a conversation with somebody before class, and I just want to really reemphasize. You'll notice that sometimes I joke around with some people and I don't joke around with other people. Like I would joke around with you because we were talking right before class, and I'm like, okay, this Brooklyn here, I could joke around with her. And there are other people I just don't joke around with. Like I don't. Like you read it, EJ, same thing. We were talking like you just read, and so sometimes I joke and sometimes I don't joke. This dude I would. Sar, given what he wrote on his volunteer form, which I'm not going to tell you, but I'm like, okay, this guy. So I think what I want to say to you all is the worst possible thing for this class in any way is to have people come up and have them be embarrassed in some way. It's just like, it's the worst possible thing because it's going to be footage we have to cut out because we're never going to put up footage like that. It's just that it doesn't make sense because, and certainly not in shorts, and people watch and they don't really understand and they don't really know what was going on and they're not here. And maybe they watch one small video, but they don't watch everything. And so that's just not what this is. So, at all. And if you ever, sometimes like I don't remember who it was over here when I gave you the microphone and said, "Hey, give me." I don't think he's over here now, but dude, right there, yeah. And you were cool with it, right? But if I come up to you and like just randomly, because that happens once in a while, and you do not want to be on camera, like you don't want to talk and you do not want to be on camera, just be really clear to say no. I don't want to be on camera. Or like what we did, and I had, pick out 3 people. You just got to say no, and that's fine. But I rarely do that. I rarely do that, but once in a while I do. Okay, so I want to say that. Okay, so first off, this segment also goes from the previous segment, which is something that Eric said, which I thought was, I just was like, that is such a common, I don't know how common it is, but it is such the logical response to what we've been in, to where we are and how we're at, right? So here's, it was a beautiful response, right? Very cool response. So when we did this was the segment on picking out the sperm donors. It's Leone, right? Remember? And Eric said, do you remember? Anyone remember what he said about why he wouldn't pick the black guy? Wait, you can turn the mics on. Just push them up, and then just leave them on. Don't turn them on and off.
I think it was like something.
Hold it close.
My fault.
No, really close. Hold it like right. Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, you got it.
We good?
Yeah.
All right. I think something about like he would want a normal kid over an autistic kid, something like that.
No, okay, hang on.
Was that wrong?
No, not that part. The part about picking out. No, that was good. That was different.
Okay.
Yeah. He had 2 really interesting and very cool insights. No, it was the one with the black guy. I forget who the black guy was. I forget what your name was. What he said about not picking the black guy. Nah, not the autistic thing. No, he said because, does anyone remember? Do you remember?
It would be less odd to have a black kid as having 2 parents,
Oh, yeah, okay, he also said that too. All right, yeah. Dude, it's okay, 3 insightful things, bro. No, it's the thing he said about, because black people are oppressed, and just like recreating oppression in the world, right? Yeah. So black people are oppressed, so it's like, am I going to have a black child? Well, but, black people experience so much oppression. Like, am I really going to do this? Oh, wait, by the way, hang on. And I thought, whoa, that is the kind of thing that I hear, in particular, white people, right, say, that is the logical outcome of the conversation that we've been having. And so that's where we're starting today. We're going to talk all about that and oppression in black people in the United States. So first, why don't you introduce yourselves, and then we'll go from there.
My name's EJ. I'm a stats major, and I'm from Jersey.
My name is Brooklyn. I'm a junior crim and psych major, minor in sociology, and I'm from Philadelphia.
My name's Megan. I am a sophomore majoring in biotech, minoring in neuroscience and entrepreneurship, and I'm also from right outside of Philly.
My name's Sar. I'm a senior. I'm studying data science, and I'm from Delco, PA.
Delco, PA. Hey, should I ask somebody? Should I just ask someone? Hey, can someone just take some photos for us? We take photos every class. Does someone like to take photos? They got your phone on you? Just take some photos? Dude, you're on, man. You're on. You're the class photographer today. So bring your camera up from all angles. Make sure you get some cool photos of these lovely people. You don't have to worry about me. We got more than enough of me. Get behind them. Do whatever you want to do, man. You know, just you can lay down on the ground, take cool shots, do whatever. You're a photographer. However you want to do it. But you have free reign to walk around, do whatever you want to do. All right, so listen, man. So here's what I want to say. This is actually kind of a complex and nuanced, so I'm going to say it to all of you, actually. I don't have to say it to me. This is a complex and nuanced conversation, okay? Really complex and very nuanced. We're going to talk about oppression in black people in the United States. And so I want to, with that in mind, I do want to say that for 13 years in the African American Studies Department, I taught the upper division, like senior level class on race and ethnic inequality. So I know, 13 years I taught that class. So I know how really nuanced and complex this is for sure. And the other thing I want to say is, remember, as we enter into a particularly nuanced conversation, these are students, right, y'all? Like, these are students. And now, because we're diving right into the deep end here. So this word oppression is it's really strong, right? It's a strong word, man. Because when I say, I'm looking at the two of you, and I'm thinking, here, you're a brown guy. Bro, were you born here or in India? India? When did you come here? Here, wait, hang on. Yeah, keep the microphones on. Just leave them on.
It's kind of weird. So I was born in India, and then I immediately came here, and I lived in Columbus, Ohio for like 6 years. And then I went back to India for 3, and then I came to Delco. PA.
Was one of your parents a grad student or something in Columbus?
No, my dad just got a job there.
Yeah? All right.
He was working in India. They transferred him.
Okay,
It's weird.
so listen. You're speaking as a brown guy. Look at the two of them. And bro, you are Afro-Caribbean, right? What's your ancestry?
My mom is purely Dominican, and my dad's part Haitian, part Dominican.
Okay, so when you look you just imagine we're looking at them, and as black people in the U.S., and the word that comes to mind, that just comes off the tongue of people, is oppressed. Okay, and that's because this is the word that's out there so much, right? This is the conversation that we've started, that got started, and the word just goes around. It's like, and it just rolls off people's tongue. And so when Eric said that the other day, I am sure that very few people in this class went, whoa, oppressed. That's a heavy word. Because in the U.S., increasingly, it's black people and oppression. You just put them together. Like, there we are. Not all black people, not all anybody else. The point is, and people aren't even really saying literally that you are oppressed. It's just we take that word and we put them together. And I think, whoa, man. So my first thought, just open, what do you think about that? Yeah, just leave the mic on. Keep it on. No, just about what I just said.
About oppression?
Yeah, just like linking that with you. Just seeing like, okay, yeah, oppression.
So me, specifically just me.
How about just black people? Black Americans.
Not gonna lie, I'm very uneducated on this. I can't really say that much, but what I can try to say is that, like...
Hang on, I'm gonna cut you off, really. It's not, I'm not asking you to tell me how all black people out there see this. I'm asking you to say, what do you think about the fact, what I just said is that we easily link, put together, black and oppressed. We not everywhere we go, but whoa, I hear it a lot, man. The oppression of black people. So do you see that? Like, what do you think?
I'm drawing a blank.
What's that?
I'm drawing a blank right now.
Yeah?
Yeah, a
But
little
do you
bit.
hear people linking black and oppressed?
I mean, yeah, in some like classes potentially.
Yeah,
Like,
but not in life.
yeah, not really in life. I'm not.
It's not part of your scene.
Yeah, I'm from a gated community, kind of.
Yeah. Brooklyn, how about you, man? You,
Well, I feel like it's common, but I feel like it's common because it's true to an extent. Like black people do experience oppression a lot, like on a day-to-day. So I mean, I feel like it's easy to link the two to a race. Not saying that it's right, but it is true. Like being that like America was founded really not to help black people. People experience oppression in all different ways. People experience oppression in the healthcare system. People experience oppression in classes and jobs, things like that. So regardless of how you want to experience it, oppression is everywhere, no matter where you go, because America was not set up for black people to thrive.
okay.
So-
So let me ask you this. So oppression, right? I'm just going to push back a little bit. Not only, I'm going to push back because I want to open the conversation up. What's oppression mean to you? Like, because to me, it's a really strong word. Like, what does that mean for you?
To me, yeah, because like I'm not really like big on the textbook definition, but just by experience and just having experience with classes, like oppression is just, I feel like facing different obstacles and adversities, that hinder you from kind of like thriving and being like the best person of yourself, I guess you could say. So like I said, like oppression could be in the healthcare system where like, you don't have access to healthcare, so you're oppressed in that way. Or, like the topic of last class where you can't get a job because you wear your hair in an afro. Like that's
Right.
a form of oppression. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
oppression, I feel like to me, just facing adversity or obstacles, no matter like where you go or like how you try to set up things.
Okay. All right, very cool. I want to come back to that. How about the two of you? Like when you hear, let me start with Megan. When you hear oppression, what does that mean for you?
What does oppression mean to me?
Yeah, like how do you define that when you think about racial oppression, black people being oppressed in the United States? What comes to mind?
I think in that sense, it's kind of a similar thing. They're being turned away from opportunities based on their skin color or based on a feature that they can't control and wouldn't necessarily control.
Okay, when you say turned away, what do you mean?
Like not given the opportunity. Say two people are equally qualified for a job, one's black, one's white. I think statistically, it's shown that like if the person with a black name will not be chosen over the person with a white name.
Okay. So here, let me help with that. Restate that. Restate that so that it's true, because that's not true. All right. No, hang on. This is good. Listen. No, hang on. I would never ever have you respond to something and be like, that's not true, okay? Never. Like, that's not it. So we're going to do a cool thing here. So that's not true, okay? Black people are not chosen. Because that would mean, like Brooklyn here, well, that's not a black name, actually. So give me a black name. Darnisha. I know a white woman named Darnisha, but I know a lot of black women named Darnisha, okay? Shantoya, right? I don't think I know any white women named Shantoya. Okay, is that good? Is that a good one? Okay, Shantoya and Megan. Like that would mean what you said would mean, and I want you to change it because this is cool. That would mean that Shantoya would never ever get a job. Because okay, so now just say what you said, which is true. What you said is true. The research has shown, but say it differently.
So in that situation, like our names compared, they would likely choose the whiter sounding name over a different race.
More likely.
More likely.
Okay, the research shows. Hey, listen, not only there was one study that showed that 50% more often you would get you with Megan and, a white sounding name, right? But I know a few black women named Megan, so let's not say, right? But anyway, I know a hell of a lot more white women named Megan. 50% of the time sometimes, but more likely to be chosen, right? Okay, and that's really important because, and we're going to come back there, it's really important that we learn how to say the things that are true because when we miss them, then we miss the opportunity to really see it. So, okay, so that's cool. I love what you said. Are you cool with me saying that's wrong, or like?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You get it, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I did it for a reason. Okay, bro. When you say like these two people over here, these two black people are oppressed. What does that mean for you?
I guess off the top of my mind, I just go to like systematic racism.
Okay.
For example, like I know that areas that are more predominantly black dominated in population are policed at a much higher rate, which is just like, I think that's like, set from the system. Like, because like, obviously if you're policing an area way more, you're gonna have more arrests, which makes it look like they have like a higher crime rate.
Okay.
So like, that's in like a way they are oppressed, I guess.
Okay. Let me ask.
I worded that hella bad, but.
You what?
I worded that so bad, but probably.
No, listen. What is oppression? When you oppress someone, what are you doing?
You, I guess, kind of like what she said, you're not giving them an equal opportunity to accomplish something that like a white person could.
Or to participate in something or something, right? Yeah, okay, listen. So here's the thing, right? And this is one of those really hard-hitting words. So we've altered this conversation about race in the United States as a result of, after the murder of George Floyd, okay? Not the death of George Floyd, right? So we've altered the conversation about race, and what we've kind of moved out into the conversation are words that we just throw around randomly, like oppression. But what I heard from you is, yeah, you use this, but you don't mean it. Like, look, for many people, oppression is really harming people. Like you are oppressing them. You are standing on their neck, and in that kind of way. Like, in the United States, workers historically have been oppressed, right? And, but that's not what you mean. Go ahead.
Yeah, like, I mean, people can be oppressed. Like, white people can be oppressed too. Like, my grandfather, he was white, and he was kind of like singled out for marrying a black woman during the time that it happened. So, like, people can experience oppression in different forms. But I feel like when they say black people are oppressed, because black people are oppressed in various aspects of life. It's not just one walk of life or, things like that. Like, it's various aspects. Like, you can't say a white person is going to experience oppression or any form of racism in the healthcare field, socioeconomic field. Like, all these different aspects of life. Like, there's always going to be some part of life within the black. When they're born, you're going to face these struggles no matter where you go.
Okay, but now let's look at that. Let's look at this for a second. So we have, so you put together race, and you put together, and then EJ, you're gonna be on here in a second. So Brooklyn just put together race, and she put together socioeconomic class. Okay, so by the standards, like if we step outside of the race matrix just per se, and if you're wealthy and black, or poor and white, which one do you think is going to be oppressed by the healthcare? More likely, see, I did what you did. Did you hear that? Like, that's cool. So, like, always watch for that. Which one do you think is more likely to probably be oppressed by the healthcare system? The wealthy black person or the poor white person? Bro.
I mean, if you put it that way, I mean, probably the poor person that's like in poverty in comparison to someone who has millions of, the way you're saying it, right? Like an extremely wealthy person,
Yeah.
black person, like I would definitely
It doesn't have to be extremely wealthy. It could just be like upper middle class. Dude, what's your class background?
What?
What's your social class background?
Middle class.
Middle class? All right. So you, compared to a white person who lives not far outside of State College, right? And maybe a double wide and, whatever, right?
So someone like that's in my class level,
Yeah.
if it's just like that, then if it's not equal, then I'd say I'm probably more oppressed. If I had to say that.
If
If we're equal level.
Yeah, if you're
economic
equal level.
If we're equal economic level, and we're saying it can't be equal, I would probably say that I'm more oppressed.
Yeah, okay. More likely to be.
More
oppressed.
like my fault. More likely to be.
No, I don't know. I'm just like, we're just having this conversation here, right? And in part, we're having the conversation, and I love that Brooklyn started us on here, because what you just did when you started talking is, you basically signaled, hey, hang on a second. A lot of people are using this word oppression differently than other people are interpreting it. Because a lot of people interpret oppression as like, look, man, hey, Brooklyn, what do you mean you're oppressed? I don't see anyone with their boot on your neck. That's what oppression is. So it's like, what are you talking about? And you're like, no, but that's not what I mean. I mean, we're kind of, in a way, redefining the term here. And this is really important, because what happens is, and I say this because this has great value, because there are a lot of people who watch videos from this class who have a very conservative orientation. And they can't hear certain things like that unless it's laid out to them. Say, no, we don't mean oppression in that way. We mean it more in this other way. Oh, okay, I got you. Then I can go with it. But anyway, you were going to say something.
Hello? Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to say, I feel like back to the whole healthcare thing, it gets a little bit tricky, I feel like, if we're using that example too, because like oppression doesn't always have to just be like in terms of affording healthcare. Like Black women are oppressed in the healthcare system as well, with the whole idea that like, oh, they're stronger enough to like have babies without medication. That's a form of oppression as well.
All sorts of things. Yeah,
so
all
yeah, I feel like
sorts
it's
of
a lot
things.
that goes into like, trying to talk about oppression in certain aspects.
Yeah.
Because like you could be wealthy and Black and still be oppressed because you're a Black woman.
Oh,
that's
listen.
wealthy. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, totally. No, listen, look, the data on healthcare, I did a whole, last semester, I think it was, I don't remember, but we did a whole class on just healthcare on these kinds of questions. What happens in the exchange between doctor and patient? And whoa, man, the amount of discrimination that dark-skinned people, including you, dark-skinned people experience that's subtle and not seen unless you do very carefully circumscribed studies, Okay, hang on, I want to come back. So here, I have a question for you. When you think about oppressed people, like here, are you in a sorority or anything like that?
No.
I didn't think you were. You just didn't, you just don't seem like a sorority person, dude.
Thanks.
You could be a fraternity guy though, dude. All right. You run solo. All right. But when you think about people who are oppressed, like befriending them, connecting with them, like, oh, there's this oppressed group of people out there. Does that draw you to them? To what degree does that draw you to them, and to what degree does that like, oh man, I don't know if I'm allowed to, or if I can, or like, I don't know, like how what's your general sense? I get that was sort of a leading question.
Wait, could you?
It's a hard question. So I'm going to say what I have this idea about, right? And then I want you to talk about it for you. If someone identifies as oppressed, for me, it doesn't draw me in. Like I'm not gonna. If this dude in the front is like, yeah, he's this really oppressed guy, and he's got all this stuff going on. I don't really want to go sit down next to him and be like, oh yeah, I'll sit next to the oppressed guy, because whatever. I want to learn about this dude and that kind of thing. It's like I don't. That doesn't draw me in. So I'm wondering how is that for you?
Well, so when you say identify as oppressed, is that like they're making it their whole personality type of thing?
Some people are, yeah. But other people identify. Eric identified the connection is like black people oppressed in the United States. And a lot of black people make that, it just rolls off their tongue. So does that make you feel, how much does that make you feel like, oh, I got to go really hang out with black people, and I got to really understand what this oppression is all about as this white woman, white middle-class woman. And it's like, yeah, I got to be on that. I got to be in it, man. I want to be part of this conversation.
I mean, I've always found like all of that interesting, and I want to be knowledgeable about it in case that comes up in conversation, but I don't necessarily think that someone identifying as oppressed would like draw me in or push me away. I think if it came up in conversation, we were talking about it, I'd find like their perspective interesting, but I don't think that would be the sole thing that's drawing me to them.
Okay,
like
that's a really cool answer. Especially, no, that's a very cool answer. It's a really honest answer, and it's very revealing, actually, in a way, because what you said was, yeah, it would be interesting. And like interesting is kind of out here, right? And what I'm wondering about myself is to what degree are we bringing, is language and these kinds of conversations actually pulling people apart versus bringing us together? Bro, do you have a thought on what I was asking Megan?
I mean, if someone just came up to me and was like, I'm oppressed, like it was like
Well, no one's
pressure.
going to come up to you like that, but it's the message you get. It's just the message.
I mean, it definitely depends who it's coming from. Like, I think there's like a lot of different types. Obviously, we pointed out like there's wealth, and then there's racial.
Uh-huh.
So like if it's like a rich white guy coming up to me and like trying to like portray that, it's like,
Yeah.
come on, bro, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I think adding to that, I think it depends what they say they're like being oppressed for.
Okay.
Like if they have a good enough reasoning of like oppression, like I think you use like the white guy coming up and saying that. I think if they use it like, oh my God, going back to the job thing, oh my God, I didn't get picked for this job over a black person who I'm equally qualified for.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, oh, it's because I'm oppressed. I don't necessarily think, unless they have a good enough reasoning with that, but I think that'd be like, that would kind of push me away a little bit.
Okay. And well, listen, you want to know what's something else that might push you away? You and I are the cause of the oppression. Sark here, he's kind of, he's from an immigrant family. He's a brown guy. He can, not entirely, because he's a brown dude. He's Indian, right? So Indians don't get a full pass from black people, man. Indians, you don't get a free pass from black people. It doesn't work like that. Dude, you and I are the cause. So now, sit with that for a second. That you're just you sit. Leave me out of this, right? This is your burden to carry. Okay. You're the cause of the oppression. So now what? Now how close to it do you want to get?
That's definitely difficult because if I'm the cause of me personally, I would want to do all I can to like not be the cause and try and help like make a better difference. So if I had to press them, make a difference to like try and help with that situation.
Yeah.
In any way that they think that I can help without making it worse. But if they say like, oh, you're just making it worse, and that like pushes me away, then I'll say like it.
Okay.
I think it depends on.
Dude, awesome answer. Can you the two of you see where I'm going here, right? So she's the cause of the oppression. She's the cause of black oppression. I mean, Megan. Dude, look at, can you get a close-up of Megan right here? Wesley, right here. Megan right here is the cause of black oppression in the world. And not only in the U.S., but we're just going to go with the world, man. Okay, so can you, that's not true literally, but it is true. Like, this is what you're talking about. Like, because, you know, it's her and I. Like, I don't know what can... She's saying, like, I want to do something. I don't know what to do, and where do I go? And can you want to bail her out, or you just want to let her... Wait, Brooklyn, I want to hear from you, man. Do you feel like you want to bail her out? What do you want to say to her? Because that's the call. She's it, man. You got a chance to look at the oppressor.
Like,
right
are we
here.
thinking like literally like her, or are we just speaking in general?
Well, you know, she experiences it as her, you know. Like, it's not like I can say, you can say, oh, it's white people out there. But at some point in time, it's each individual white person who's the oppressor. So it's like, just by breathing, I don't know what we do that causes us to be the oppressor, but...
Well, to get on that, like I said, I have like white ancestry, so I was always like was able to be raised to kind of like see. I know that all white people are not racist and all white people are not the cause of oppression. Like, that's very obvious. But at the end of the day, like, yeah, y'all ancestors do have a big part of our oppression. Like I stated when I first like came on here, I said like America was not built for black people to succeed. Period. So. Yeah, your ancestors play a big part in our oppression. Not saying you guys directly or generations after, because like I said, every white person isn't racist, and every white person can be educated on how to, you know, alleviate those issues as Megan was hinting at. But y'all play a big role in it because America was built for white people to succeed.
What do you mean by play a big... Dude, by the way. What do you mean play a big role? Like, what do you mean?
Like I was just saying, like, America wasn't built for my people.
Okay,
Like, it wasn't.
all right.
Like, y'all came...
Okay, we'll come back to it. I'm going to show you some data. We'll come back to it. Yeah, I got it. This will be good for you. I want you to comment on what I'm going to show you. Okay, so here's another question. You ready? This is another one that conservatives are asking all the time. Sorry, you're on with this one, man. When we use the word oppression, what does that say about somebody's agency? Like, so this is the thing, right? If EJ and Brooklyn here are oppressed, what's it say about their agency? Meaning, by agency, I mean their ability to just put themselves out there and be who they want to be, and all the kinds of things that we all want to do, especially here in the U.S., right? Everywhere in the world, it doesn't really matter.
Like, what do you mean? Like,
But they're oppressed.
yeah.
And so if the narrative is, whether it's from black people or white people, they're oppressed. So no matter what, they're oppressed. So how much agency do they have, therefore?
They don't really have any, I guess.
I don't
they're
know.
oppressed. Yeah, they don't. They're oppressed. Yeah. What do you? I don't get the question. Like,
No,
the
that's a good.
agency.
This is it. So just elaborate on that. Like, how do you see that? Like, imagine it's an wow moment. I get why you're going, because, dude, I asked if my wife was here, she would. If she happened to be watching, she's not, but she'd just be face palming. Dude, ask a good question. So look, the issue is, it feels like when you say that somebody is oppressed, we say that these two people are oppressed. That means seems to me that we're also taking away their agency. Oh, they're oppressed. So the whole national conversation in the United States that black people are oppressed, it's like basically we're sort of saying, well, black people have less agency to overcome the oppression.
Okay. So you're saying like that in a way makes it worse for them if they do accomplish something, like.
Or it just makes it seem like they don't have to accomplish, or you two get a free pass because you're oppressed. Not a free pass because you have to. I love that face that you just made. Like, you did you see the face she made? Okay, no, it's a good face because that tells me to reframe the. Wait, hang on a second. Wesley, can you put me on? Here's what Brooklyn just did to me. Zoom in on my face. I said whatever I said to you, and she did. I want to take my glasses off. She went like. If By the way, this is a really cool it's a really cool conversation, and it's one that we don't have. If we walk around with this idea constantly talking, especially when black people do it, if Megan does it and Sar does it, it's different. But if you all reference oppression all the time, what many people conclude is that you're so busy talking about oppression that you're not trying to overcome the oppression. If you put the same amount of energy into overcoming the oppression that you spend talking about the oppression, you wouldn't be oppressed, right? So that's what I mean about agency. It's like the conversation itself lends itself to an outsider going like, yeah, man, well, just stop talking about it and could do something. So if both of you could respond to that, because I know a lot of people think that. I know what the conversation is, so it's not, but.
I mean, yeah, so like, when it comes to like, people calling themselves like oppressed, I feel like maybe people are using it like a handicap potentially.
Yeah.
So a handicap toward progress, and progress toward people becoming equal. Because that's like the end goal for everybody. We all want to be equal. We all say we have equal
No, we
rights.
don't want to be equal, bro. Everyone wants an opportunity.
Equal opportunity.
Equal opportunity, yeah, exactly. Yeah, dude, that's important that I did that because people will label you as a communist, and God, you don't want that. Okay, so everybody wants that. All right, so go ahead. Yeah, we want equal opportunity.
So we want equal opportunity. So like you were saying, it's like we're spending more time instead of you're saying like we're spending more time on like the past and not more on the future instead.
Right. Okay. And this is where Brooklyn, we're going to bring it around to talk about how the past influences the present.
Which the past is extremely important in order to get a better future.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. If you don't see where you came from, you won't know where you're going.
If you don't pay attention to the past, you'll repeat the past in the future.
Yeah.
I think it's like a
Or you'll be misguided about the present. Brooklyn, do you have a thought about this question about agency and like how people might perceive that? Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the only people that might perceive that are, ignorant white people. And to those people, I would just like to say, I just feel like everything I'm saying keeps wrapping around. Like, America was not built for us. So it's going to be really hard for black people to try to, we can keep talking about it, but it's very hard for us to advance when these systems were ultimately made for you guys to begin with.
Okay.
So it's like we can't always in politics, there's plenty of, we just got like one of the first black Supreme Court justices, and the
Yeah.
Supreme Court's been around for years. You know what I'm saying? So with stuff like that, like, y'all, white people want white people to advance, simply.
Okay.
So with that being said, I'm not saying all white people, but the way the systems are built, y'all want white people to advance, simple. So with that being said, I feel like, yeah, we can talk about as much as we want, but you guys don't help either. If we don't have the help of white people, then there's no way that we can try to do anything unless there's a big revolt or something and we take over. But that's not happening. So the only way I feel like those things are, it's not. So the only way I feel like those things are gonna change is the systems are dismantled, or there are more white people that become allies to help alleviate the issue in the long run.
Okay, I want to go back to the first thing that you said about white people or people who would say that are ignorant. I would disagree with you on that in the following sense, right? I think that if I hear someone talking about something all the time, it wouldn't be far from, if I hear someone saying like, hey, I'm really oppressed, if I say it, like college teachers or, professors are really oppressed, and I'm really oppressed, and I have to deal with all these knuckleheads, and if you understood the kind of knuckleheads I had to deal with every day, and like, oh my God, and I've just talked about it all the time, and other people talk about it, and so on, it wouldn't be a very far conclusion for you to say like, whoa, this guy, he doesn't feel like he has any power to change the situation, or like stop being a teacher, or stop this, or do that, or do whatever, right? That it's just kind of like, it feels like I don't know.
Yeah, I just feel like you can't compare something that's small to such a grand issue.
Well, I'm just trying to use some kind of analogy, right?
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, at the end of the day, I just feel like I don't know. No matter like how much there's people that always talk about this. There's activists that's talked about this issue for years. Like,
Sure.
people try to, let black people not be oppressed. That's what we have activism for. Like people, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's not like we don't try, but it's hard to
Okay.
try when you have people who don't want to help you. You know what I'm saying? Like the people that made the issue, they don't try to help. So it's like you can only do but so much of what you have.
Okay,
You know
all
what I'm
right.
saying?
All right, so listen, you heard what Brooklyn just said. She's like, it just came out again. It's like, yeah, people have really tried to keep black people from being oppressed. So I want to start with you. Do you hear what she's saying when she says that, right? When she's saying, yeah, people have always worked hard to keep black people from being oppressed. Does your mind go to what she means by oppressed, like not boot on the neck, but rather like, yeah, okay.
Or like disadvantaged.
Disadvantaged, yeah. It's a strong word, man. When that rolls off your tongue like that, you really need to know that when truly what you're saying is disadvantaged, experiencing discrimination, experiencing prejudice, or having to deal with some stereotypes, a number of things. That's a very different conversation than oppressed. And so there are consequences of that. So when she says oppressed, so you're saying, yeah, you're listening to Brooklyn have this conversation about, yeah, black people being oppressed. Are you cool with that? By you, by the way.
What do you mean, like, cool with that?
Can you reframe that in your brain? Like, yeah, she doesn't really mean it that way. She doesn't mean it boots on the shoulder, because no one's got their boot on her neck. You're a student at Penn State. You are like extremely privileged. What would you say is can I ask your class background? What was your class?
Yeah, no, I know problem saying that. I'm from a low-income family. I was raised by a single mom. She had 4 kids, so like, I'm not afraid to say that.
So even then, so you are not at the high. If we start talking about upper middle class black families, that is not you.
It's not me at all, no.
And even then, you are a college student at Penn State, even if you're all loaned out, right? It's all about loans
No,
and
I
stuff.
have a full ride, very much. I'm blessed. So
Yeah. So
yeah, I'm where I come from, like I take very much like a lot of pride in where I come from. Like
Yeah,
being
got
low
you.
income and stuff like that. I know some people like see it as a bad thing, but I don't. Like I take it and I thrive off of it, honestly.
I got you. Okay, so therefore, as an individual, then you would be, oh, hang on, man. Me, given where you come from and other people, and people around the world, man, I can take you, Angel and I can take you down to Haiti and be like, okay, man, we'll show you some oppression. And so for you, you're relatively privileged. Even though you're from the lower class, you're still like, you're now standing in shoes these 4 years here. It's like, damn, all right.
Yeah,
Would you say that?
I'm gonna say no and yes. I'm privileged. I'm very much privileged because everybody does not have access, like the ability to be able to go to like education outside of high school. So
Yeah,
I'll say I'm privileged for that part. But no, like being low income and like being raised by a single mom, that in itself comes with a lot of adversities and issues on its own.
So a lot of difficulty.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna say that I'm very privileged because I faced like a lot of struggles growing up. Like
For sure.
you know what I'm saying? But
No,
being
I'm
able
going to say in these 4 years.
oh, in these 4 years.
In these 4 years, you're like, yeah, pretty.
Yeah, especially being able to get a full ride. It's probably white people that can't even say they got that. So yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a full ride?
I got a scholarship and I'm in state, so
Yeah.
that's why I chose.
So it helps. Yeah. Okay. Do you have anything you want to add, bro? As a
I
brown
think
guy?
I kind of understand. Like, I think she's really just pointing out how like systematic racism is like a very like big reason as to like why, people, like I think a lot of what you're talking about is just like systematic racism. Like the system is built from the bottom to, not allow them to succeed from the beginning. So that's why I guess a lot of people, like conservative white people would like, they're not able to see it as clearly because they just never have to deal with like systematic racism at all.
Okay. All right. I got that. So we're going to talk about that right now in a hot minute. Do you have a question? What's the difference between oppressed and discriminated against? Oh, EJ, do you have that one? Asked by QTV.
It's a pretty good question. I wouldn't say I would really understand completely because I am a first gen here in America. Both my parents are from the DR,
Yeah.
and they absolutely went through it. It's poverty over there. So like they started working like at the age of like 9 and 10, and like through working they like built themselves up, and gladly like I'm privileged to be here even.
Yeah.
So I honestly wouldn't be able to understand it much. I would say that for oppression, again, like it's a very broad, very, very broad
Yeah,
term.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
discriminated against, I think I can define that much easier. Like less like one has more advantage than another. You're putting down someone, and the other one you're putting up essentially.
Okay, that's cool.
So I would say discriminated against is like a much easier definition for that.
Yeah.
But oppressed, everyone has different experiences. Some people are oppressed, and like she said, like oppression can be in education, the way they walk, like getting a job, like that's a whole different thing. So,
Dude, I would say probably 9 out of 10 people in this room are oppressed because you think grades matter. And you think if you're oppressed by the whole educational system and what you've come to believe in it and so on and so forth. Like, I mean, grades do matter, but it's just it's so inflated. Like, it's depressing. Okay, do you have another one? It seems like there aren't literal laws oppressing minorities, okay, or minoritized people. How do people get discriminated against if not with the actual law? All right. Hey, Rochester 92. That's a really, and a lot of times people ask questions. This is like a rhetorical question, right? You get that. Like people ask questions a lot as rhetorical. Like, hey, I do that a lot. Well, how is it, if there aren't any laws, like how do people actually get discriminated against? And the goal is to jumpstart a conversation. So do you want to answer that?
I'm going to divert away from like black people and just talk about minorities in general. There are plenty of laws that discriminate against the LGBTQ community. Florida is a perfect example. They have plenty of laws in place and currently are going in place that discriminate against minorities.
Yeah.
They are going backwards. Texas is another one. There are laws that discriminate against women. There are minority abortion laws. So I just feel like people can get discriminated against with the actual law and without it.
Yeah. And also just the things that happen. Most discrimination we see, like with the names, right? Things just happen without seeing it. Like we don't see it. Most of the times that we discriminate, we don't see it. We don't notice it. There's a lot of unconscious bias that happens and so on. So
also in like a lot of laws, they're not gonna obviously make it that it's against like minorities. There are like underlying like laws that maybe it's not like intentional, but in the end it will end up causing discrimination. Like you're not going to say like, this law has to be against black people.
Yeah.
And this, like, they're not going to do that. If there is one, if there are, which there are, that discriminate against minorities, it would probably be like underlying.
okay, all right,
So,
indirect.
so a question like that's
Like indirect
yeah, it would
stuff.
be indirect.
Do you want to add something to that?
Or direct with indirect intention.
Yeah, okay, I got that.
Or indirect with direct intention.
Or direct with
Maybe.
indirect attention. That's very cool.
I think sort of ish going along with that is, I wouldn't say the law is
Wait,
written-
hang on.
I wouldn't say there's laws specifically written, I mean, besides the one that Brooklyn talked about, but I think it's more of the interpretation and the enactment of the law that
Okay.
start to turn it to discriminate against people in
Okay.
that way.
To some kind of discrimination, including against white women, by the way, Megan. So don't remove yourself from this. You are a minority, my friend. Can you go to the slide? Is this set? Is that the only question? All right, go ahead. Well, let's see what else you have. Unpopular opinion pariah. What programs exclusively benefit white people? Yo, man. Damn. Can we like call a helpline? Hey, can we call a lifeline on here? What programs exclusively benefit white people? Because even the one I talked about last class with hair in the U.S. Army, it wasn't like white supremacy, so to speak, or white privilege. It was straight hair privilege. So, what laws exclude? Anyone have anything? Unpopular opinion pariah is asking. Anyone have anything? Huh. That's kind of interesting. All right, dude. Do you have another one? If we view people as individuals, does that make it more difficult to oppress them? Yeah, definitely. Definitely. But that's, here, let's do this. Let's do the Don Alvarito. Let's go to the next slide. Can we not do the next question? We actually go to the next slide. Okay, here's black middle class by income, okay? Now, here's black households. So first off, we want to start right here. Half of all black Americans are middle class, about half. You know, it sort of fluctuates between 47% and 51%, depending on how you want to define it and what years and so on. But about half of all Americans are middle class. So when you think about anybody in the U.S. who's black, and when you use, you know, as we started this out with, black people, oppression. But what we're missing out on are the wide range of understanding. First off, start with half of all black Americans are middle class. What that means is half of all black Americans have middle class sensibilities, middle class values, middle class desires. You know, half of all black Americans, they want a garage and they want to paint the floor of their garage with gray color, I don't know, and hang their tools up on the certain places on the wall of the garage, just like uptight white people, you know what I mean? It's just like standard middle class stuff. And so that was funny, by the way. You thought that was funny. Thanks for laughing. All right, but here, look. So you see these here, right? So the yellow is upper class, 200,000 and above. The purple is the 150,000 to 200,000. Then you have this middle class income. This is black households. This is all households in the United States. So which group, I want to go right here. Are these people oppressed? Are the, like, here, hang on, I'll do it this way. Are the 3% oppressed? The 4% oppressed? Like, when we're using oppression, like, it's all relative, man. Like, because I'm going to look at the 3% and I'm going to compare it to the all households, the 10%. And I'm like, yeah, a lot of these folks up here driving Teslas and whatever, Benzes. I know you've said this before. I know we're still talking about stuff, but
I don't mean to get repetitive, but like same thing. You could be rich, like you're gonna experience a form of oppression regardless. Like it doesn't matter. Ketanji Brown
some
Jackson,
form of oppression.
Yeah, some form. That doesn't mean
Somewhere.
you're gonna be entirely oppressed, because like I said, everyone can experience oppression in some
Got
forms.
you.
But
Okay.
Ketanji Brown Jackson could be making a lot of money, but I'm sure she probably still deals with issues on
Okay.
that bench. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so therefore, let me look to the class and say, you hear that. So you're using oppression, but you're really defining it as, yeah, everyone's going to experience some kind of discrimination, man. Like, would I rather be you and I? If I'm just looking to not experience any kind of discrimination and prejudice and trip over things, have people get in my way, would I rather look like me and Megan, or would I rather look like EJ in Brooklyn? Bro, who would you rather look like? If you want to not experience any of the stuff that you might have to experience.
Easy. Sure.
That's a given.
Yeah.
So that would tell us at some level that, like, okay, well, would you say that? Or would you say, like, oh, no, I'd really rather be black because, you know, like, man, look at, like, EJ's hair and shit. Like,
I think I'd rather be me, my color.
yeah, it seems like it. That should just tell us a little bit of something. But at the same time, y'all, right? At the same time, for the two of you, look, man, there's a lot of black people in the United States who are going to experience some things and yet are doing pretty well. Because the way we talk about race in this country is that all black people are down here. Oh yeah, black people are poor. And what happens then with that is you get people like Sar, the immigrant guy, or Megan and I. It's like, well, I don't want to, like, how am I going to kind of be with black people if, first off, they're all poor, so you got nothing in common with them, and then secondly, it's like, damn, man, like, and we got to bust out of that, because, okay, so now I want to show you something, man. Go to the next one. So here's median incomes of head of household in each group. So all U.S. immigrants, so this includes you, my friend, your family, or your mom or your dad, whoever the head of the household. Who is it, your mom or your dad? Who's the head of the household?
My dad.
Okay, so this is all U.S. immigrants, right? And then look at black immigrants, 57,000, and the U.S.-born black population. So now even when we're talking about black people, so this is really good that you guys represent this, right? EJ, you represent 57,200. Your group, that's the average income of the head of household of people like you. And in coming from the Caribbean, it's even highest. It's like 62,000 for Caribbean head of households. That's not everybody. This is the median income. This would mean half are above and half are below. But for you, who is you're African American, meaning you trace your ancestry, your roots to slavery in the United States, your median head of household income is 42,000. So even when we're talking about just on average, if we lined up black immigrants from Africa, the Caribbean, South America, everyone in your shoes is going to just have naturally a higher household earning. So even then, when we throw these words around, like, black people or white people, whatever the case is, it's not the same. Go ahead, man.
I was just gonna say, I'm an immigrant. Like so I was originally born in the UK. My parents were born in South Africa. Their parents were born South Africa, UK, all over the place.
Your parents were born in South Africa?
Yeah.
Dude,
I'd assume that
do you have
that's
a
why I
question
was.
for her? Do you study South Africa? Do you guys study South Africa? Dude, awesome, man. So you were born in the U.S.?
No, I was born in the UK.
Oh, that's right. You just said in the UK. Sorry about that. Yep. Yeah, so you are immigrant. So you're an immigrant as well.
Yeah, so I was just going to say that, that applies to the top one. I don't know my family's income, and my parents are divorced, so I don't know how.
But that is you, and that's
yeah,
a
that's what I was going
lower
to say.
income.
That the all U.S. immigrants accounts for white people.
Dude,
as
so
well.
you got 2 immigrants up here. Damn, look at that. Killing it. Okay, so this is where I want to go to. You go to the next slide. Check this out, right? Now, we'll come back to this at some point, but this is what I want to give Brooklyn this is what Brooklyn's talking about right here. Hey, by the way, can you turn the volume down? Hey, can you turn the volume down on the stream for just a second? All right. Hey, this is what you're talking about right here. This is the lasting legacy. This is median family net worth. This is you take all your assets and you add them all up and you subtract your debts. Half of all white families have $188,000 left over. Black families, 24,000, Latino or Latina, 36,000, and multiracial or Asian, 74,000. How is it so low, man? This is the history piece that Brooklyn is talking about. It doesn't just start today. You got to look at all the wealth development and so on. You have to look at the long history of what that means. We'll come back to this at some point. Do you have one final question? African diaspora being spread around the world. How does the African American experience differ? Oh, dude, okay, we'll come back to that. Yeah, we'll come back to that. Okay, listen, did anyone want to say a final thing? Wait, hang on. Brooklyn has one final thing.
Oh, it's not with class.
Oh, you don't?
Just want to shout out the best African American sorority, Delta Sigma Theta sorority.
Oh, damn. All right. Hey, can we have a round of applause? You guys rock. Dude. Nice job, man.